to the Knitted Bean podcast. My name is Echo and I am your host. This is Lugs, our little miniature co-host. Granny is asleep on the heating pad. I am coming to you from Montana, where I live with my husband and my two Boston Terriers. The Knitted Bean is a nitty, nerdy, sometimes sweary podcast with a side order of fandom at the end. Would you going to be a good girl? Got your ears back, like maybe not. She's like, please set me down. You were the one who wanted up? Went up on the bed. You're going to disturb Granny if you get up there, so no. It has been a hot minute again, and I apologize. For those of you who don't know, I had COVID. You can't keep asking to get up if you don't really want up. I had COVID, which is no small thing for me. Unfortunately, I already have lung problems. So that set me back for quite a while. I got it in the first half of January, and I did go to the hospital, but I managed to not be admitted by going in quickly, and then also I took the brand new antiviral like the day after it was approved. So that meant that I was able to stay at home. I also have all 3 doses of my vaccine since I'm immunocompromised, which meant that I had a milder course than I would have had, so I did not get pneumonia or anything like that. And I'm already on an injectable monoclonal antibody that reduces inflammation in my lungs. So with all that stacked together, I still had, a rough course at home, but I did manage to stay out of the hospital. So I am still recovering, obviously, but I no longer test positive now, a month later, and I'm definitely not back to baseline, but I'm also not dying, so that's good. That's better than plenty of people can say. Lugs, I can't hold you through the whole podcast. I know, sweetie, but I can't. You want to go lay down with your sister? You can't disturb her if you do that. She would literally let me hold her the whole hour, but I do not have the strength to do that. So, before you fall asleep in my arms, let's get you situated. Oh, I know, terrible that I'm moving you. How about we put your butt on a heating pad? Good. Now she's gonna be all wound up because there's smelly things and yarn over there. Things that smell sheepy. But she really likes a heating pad, so hopefully she'll chill out. This is episode 23, and it is February 17th, a couple days after Singles Awareness / Valentine's Day, which we don't really celebrate much in this house. If you want to find me on the internet, you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as The Knitted Bean. You can email me at knittedbean@gmail.com. Or I thought I would actually share my Discord handle on here, because I've been on Discord for years, using it just as a gamer, all the way back to my MMO days. And I noticed that a lot of knitting groups are moving on to Ravelry, or I can't talk, I can't think. Moving on to Discord as like an alternate place with real-time chat versus like Ravelry and places like that which have message boards. So if you want to hook up with me on Discord, you are free to send me a friend request. My tag is capital B, EAN, and then my number that comes after it is hashtag 0199. I also have a Ko-Fi if you want to donate to the podcast. And I think that is all the places that I am available. Sorry, I'm gonna be very froggy. And super out of practice. I want to say welcome back to all of my returning viewers. It's been a while and I do appreciate you coming back, and hello to any new viewers that I have acquired in the meantime. I'm glad to be back. It's taken me like a week to build up the energy to record this particular podcast just because I'm lacking in all spoons lately. I am drinking out of my Crafty Cat mugs. What the fuckulent. Double-sided mugs. I love her mugs. And I'm just drinking coffee. Seattle's Best with Ghirardelli thick caramel in the bottom. Stir the caramel while the coffee is hot is a must. And then add almond milk. Mostly because I pretty much run on caffeine and steroids, an amount of steroids. So that is where I am at. Basically, it's winter and I get sick every winter. One or more times I end up on steroids for a month or more at a time, one or more times. And so I don't know, maybe I should just put a disclaimer: podcasts regularly, all seasons but winter. It's been like this for me for, I want to say years, but probably decades. Welcome to my lungs. Okay, let's do a little bit of admin. Okay, prize winners for the head, shoulders, fingers, toes make-along from December. I have not forgotten you. Yesterday was the first time that I left my house alone in a month. And I've just been so wiped out. So I did get your stuff packaged. It is addressed. If you needed a customs form, there's a customs form. I just need to like now also recharge enough to go down to the post office and get those things mailed. So hopefully before my next podcast, you will get a message with a tracking number in it, and those will be on their way. But I have not forgotten you. I'm just, A, I didn't really think you wanted me packing your stuff while I had Spiky Boy, and B, I didn't have the energy. So don't think I've forgotten you. I haven't. Other admin is, as always, we have a discount code for Naughty Knitting Sacks, which are like my favorite bags ever, from Katie. It is Bean15, and I will put it on the bottom here. Please feel free to use that. Other than that, oh my god, what else in life? I put things on here and then I totally think I forgot to talk about them. Oh, yeah. Do you guys ever do things and like after you've done them you're like, wow, that was such a like adult thing to do? Okay guys, I'm pushing 40, let's be honest. I've been an adult for a couple of decades. But I don't like to think of myself as an adult. I don't know about you. I like to just think of myself as a person, right? And sometimes that person's childish and fun, and sometimes that person's adultish and does stuff they have to do. Our toilets have had issues, probably for the last 2 years. We bought this house 8 years ago, and it just had like contractor grade, bottom of the barrel toilets installed in the bathrooms. We have 2 bathrooms. And they were fine at the time. But after about 6 years, like the guts inside broke, and that was fine. I thought, I was like, no big deal. How many toilets have I fixed? I'll just go to the hardware store. I'll buy new guts and I'll fix it. So I did, except for those guts didn't fit in those toilets. So then I went back and I tried a different kind and those didn't fit. And I went back and I got like an adjustable kind of guts, and those kind of fit, but not really. Meaning it made it hard to flush, and sometimes it wouldn't seal right, and the toilets would run, and I was like, well, this sucks. And I went to all the other hardware stores and I could never find guts that really fit. So for the last 2 years, we dealt with these like kind of fitting guts, and they would break because it made it hard to flush. So then eventually the handle would break and we would have to replace it with another kind of fitting guts. Okay, I have a plumber in the family. So finally I got so pissed off. I was like, hey, will you come look at my toilets? And they came and they looked and they were like, okay, so here's the deal. These toilets are really cheap, and the shape and size of the tank doesn't fit any commercially available replacement gut. So I'm gonna put in a different form of like adjustable one, but if it doesn't work, you just need to get new toilets. And I was like, oh. That's right, Granny, you agreed. And so that was, I don't know, 6 months ago. While our guts kept breaking, we literally just like had the tank lid off for 6 months so we can just fix it when it doesn't work, right? So annoying. And it's super annoying if you have like company over or something and they're like, what is wrong with your toilet? I'm like, it flushes fine. You just have to like make sure that it stops running when you're done. So we got our tax return and we were like, okay, we are doing like the 3 things that we need to do and then paying bills. And the 3 things that we needed to do were 2 new toilets, and I needed a new chair because the chair that I had was really broken down and had been like jerry-rigged with 2x4s and was giving me pressure ulcers. So I got a new chair and we went and bought 2 new toilets. In the process of buying toilets, we're standing there, you know, in the aisle. Or, well, I'm sitting because I'm on my scooter because there's no way I can stand at this point. And I'm like, what kind of toilet do we want? Guys, if you have to sit on your scooter for like, you know, 30 minutes in the aisle of Home Depot or Lowe's and like assess toilets and be like, do you want a tall seat? Do you want a short seat? What kind of flush do you want? Do you want a power flush? Do you want a piston flush? Do you want a single flush or a double flush? You are adulting. Yeah. And I didn't realize that until I got home and I was like, that's like the most adult thing I've done recently, and it kind of disgusts me. It was awful. All of a sudden I have new toilets and I swear to God I don't have to worry about them breaking for years now, and that's such a relief. So just know, if you're a child at heart and you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s or 60s or 80s and you have to go do something really adult like that and afterwards you're like, oh, that was really sad, don't feel alone. You're not alone. I am with you. We should not have to do that. There should still be somebody who does that for us. All right, getting on with the show. When I am wearing this gorgeous sweater that I did not make. This is, you probably just heard all my joints pop. This is the Fade, and I think it's the Fade Nieve. I could be wrong, but I think that's how it's pronounced. By Andrea Mowry. It was not knit by me. It was knit by my friend Darcy, and then it was mailed to me all the way from China because we were the same size, but we have like different shapes, obviously, because everybody does. And she just did not like the way that it fit on her. But look at all the nups. That's a lot of work, and this is a lot of lovely yarn. And it would be a shame to not have this worn. So she rehomed it to me where it will be loved and worn and taken good care of. And I feel so treasured and cherished and loved to get such a great gift. And oh, it's cold outside and I'm like, yes, I can wear the pretty sweater. Oh, I love it. And it's purple, you guys. You know I love purple and green, so I'm so excited. It's pretty. Tell me it's not pretty. And it fades to gray. And we all know I love gray. It's like, it's really like my dream sweater. Oh, all right. And my hair, you guys, my hair is getting so damn long. What do you think? So at first it was like, okay, I can't afford a haircut. And then it was like, I'm too lazy to get a haircut. And then I was like, I can't afford a haircut. And like I waffle back and forth. So every time I get the money for a haircut, I'm like, oh, I don't have the spoons to go get my haircut. And then when I'm like, oh yeah, I got the energy to go get my haircut, I'm like, oh, now I don't have money today. And it's just, I mean, it's normally like this long, guys. It's been a couple of months, maybe 3, 4, I don't know, probably 3 since I got cut, and my hair grows like a weed. You think I should just keep letting it grow? I'm gonna keep shaving the side no matter what because I like that, but I have had hair down past my ass before, like when I was younger, a teen and a child, and when I was 21 I chopped it off, and I have never let my hair get longer than probably my top of my shoulder blades, the bottom of my shoulder blades since then, because I remember sitting on my ponytail and my braid all too well. On the other hand, short hair means I have to like go get it cut regularly, and I am really, really bad at that. My one friend was like, just let it grow and see, you know, I mean, if you hate it, you can always go get it cut. And well, I've been letting it grow because I'm too lazy to go get it cut. Oh, what do you think? Let it grow or chop it off? Okay, let's get going with the FO. Yes, there's only one. I've knit like a ton while I had Spiky Boy, but this is the only thing that I actually got finished. So we have, how far back can we go? There we go. The Collective Shawl by Joji Locatelli, who is somebody I love patterns from. I've knitting quite a few. Knitting? Wow. This is a brioche irregular triangle shawl. And I did not know how to make brioche. So I put this in the new to you, Mal. Because I have put off learning brioche for a good 2 years. Maybe even more. I don't know why, it just really scared me a lot. But in the end, I really love it. And it's not that hard. I just needed to like suck it up. Look at it, they're pretty. So this is made almost entirely with my Advent from Hannah at Chromatic Yarns, the corner of craft, and the Advent that I got at Christmas time. Oops, I went the wrong way. I don't like it that way. I'm gonna go this way. So the bluish background with pinkish speckles is Dawn at the Spine of the World, and that was the main skein that we got. I was a very naughty girl and I did not look up the names of all the other skeins. But what I did is I picked out basically the tonal colors of the rainbow. So purple, blue, green, yellow. I had a couple yellows to pick from, and so since I had already done a litmus cow with these same colors, I picked a lighter yellow than I picked before. And red. The only color that I didn't have a tonal for was orange. So I did sub just an orange scrap that I had. This is the only merino in it. Everything else is BFL nylon, and it's still super squishy and soft. You can, I mean, if you really, really pay attention, you can tell the difference. But for the most part, I think any truly uninitiated person would never know. And I think part of the reason that that merino feels softer is actually because it's also a different composition. It was an 80-20 and not a 75-25. So I'm in love. I've been wearing this as my scarf. I didn't, you know, I dropped down a needle size because when I first started knitting it, I got about this far into it, just this first little and I was like, you know, I just kind of don't like how loose the garter is. especially like then when I block it, I don't think I'll like how loose the garter is. So I dropped a whole needle size and I was really happy with that. So it's not as large as her sample, or like I had some friends that I was knitting it with and their samples are definitely larger, longer. But I'm really happy with it. It's still very swishy and it's just a little bit tighter of a weave, which is nice for me as a scarf to kind of cover my mouth, because I don't do well with cold air and lungs. So I'm super happy with that. It was a $5 pattern and basically it's a full skein and scraps. None of the scraps used more than I think 16 or 18 grams, and they go all the way down to like 4 grams. And it calls for 5 colors of scraps, or 5, and you use first one and last one are the same color, but I did the full rainbow, so I used 6 colors of scraps. The even cooler part about this was, since it was brioche, I definitely messed it up, but I also used some tutorials, and I didn't just learn how to do brioche, but I also learned how to like drop down in brioche and fix those stitches. So I messed up plenty and then I dropped down and fixed. And that was really nice. I think to learn brioche as like an intermediate knitter, already knowing really well the structure of a lot of different kinds of stitches, so that then I was able to learn the structure of a brioche stitch as well, so that if I wanted, I could drop like 3 stitches in a row off and drop down and fix all 3, and it was really, really handy. And it was a great pattern to learn brioche on, because it's just a straight back and forth 2-color brioche with one basic increase and one basic decrease. So you learn a little increase and a little decrease, and then a lot of regular brioche in between. I would highly recommend it, and I'll probably make another one as a gift or in different colors for me. I really liked it. I also really liked the yarn, and I did weigh it when I was done. I feel like I had exactly 20 grams, although I don't see where I put it, of Dawn at the Spine of the World left. Oh, I put it up there, that's why. And the people who knit it in the regular needle size, they used the whole skein. They had like 2 or 3 grams left. So it's definitely like a full whole skein. It's like, you can't get away with being like, oh, I got a whole skein. It's pretty close. It's 80 grams. That probably won't work. So, but you get to use up so many little tiny bits. All right. Moving on to whips. In my Deli-Q bag, which you haven't seen in a while because this project has been not quite hibernating, but definitely chilling. Definitely chilling. And it's got my little Les Garçons pin on it. The narwhal. We have almost done a pair of shiny socks. This is Geektastic Fibers, and it was a mystery box for Firefly Fandom. And all I needed to do is put in heels. So originally I was making these socks as like gift socks to set aside for later when I would need them. And then I made my husband socks, and he decided that he really likes hand knit socks. And so he has laid claim to these. So I just need to put the heels in where he needs them. I had one of these done for the longest time and just never got around to the other one. So now I will put the other one in. I definitely have some left. Maybe enough to do a pair of shorties for me. We'll see. I gotta weigh it and see. I'm not positive. Might have to do, I don't know. Like maybe I could do like a foot in it and then heel and ankle in something else. So that's on her superhero sock base. And I'm doing Afterthought Hill. There's 72. Oh my God, you guys, I'm so sorry. You probably just heard my gurgling stomach. I'm not even hungry. I don't know what its problem is. 72 stitches on a 0, which is my pretty basic combination for larger feet. So like men or heavier women. I like a really tight fabric on socks because I feel like it lasts longer. And I like knitting socks on a 0 because, again, tight fabric lasts longer. So I would rather knit really tight and go up on the stitch count. It always amazes me, these people who are like, yeah, I knit like a 64 stitch sock. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, I feel like your ankle is probably the same size as my ankle though. And I knit a 72, but then they're like, oh, but I knit it on like, I don't know, like a size 1.5 needle or something like that. And I'm like, that seems so big. And they just have a lot looser of a gauge when they're done than me. Which is not a bad thing on them. Like, they're probably meeting gauge with the patterns. Like, when you look at a lot of sock patterns, they will say like 7 stitches per inch or 8 stitches per inch. And I tend to get 9 stitches per inch. So I just like mine really tight. My friend Darcy calls them my bulletproof socks, which I find really funny. Okay, next up. Naughty knitting socks because I love it. Uh-oh, Legs is back. She's pouting. All right, I will be good if you let me up. No, you won't. So I put a cute little progress keeper that I had on here just because I liked it and it was on theme. Why is a squid on theme with circuit boards, you might ask? Because this is my gamer bag. It's like Tron on the outside and Gay Mermaids on the inside. Perfect. So chilling in my gamer bag with absolutely no leftover yarn, which is why it's not finished. It's my Pavement sweater. Ta-da! So, this is Pavement by Vera Valimaki. I love these sleeves. This kind of comes like 1 inch below your elbow, this big wide cuff. And it is not really, but kind of a raglan in that, I can show you well. It's, it raglans out really fast and then you pick up a ton of stitches. So it's kind of like a, I don't know how to describe it or if that would really be considered a raglan. So I love it. It's great. It also 100% is not quite done. Because I started the flaps on the bottom, so it's got like a, it's not really a divided hem, but it's short row shaping on the bottom. And I am so out of air, you guys. I was like, huh, I feel like I'm getting close to out of yarn, but all I have left is all these short row shaping and then a 2-inch hem and then all the short row shaping on the front and a 2-inch hem. Maybe I'll make it. No, I'm not gonna make it. Okay, well, so maybe if I shorten the short row shaping, I'll make it. No, not gonna make it. God damn it, I'm running out of yarn. So I lost Yarn Chicken. I had bought this, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe a year ago or more. Actually, I think I bought this before I even had to stop working. So maybe like a year and a half ago. For from Glam Yarns. The colorway is called Into the Woods, and I love it. It's like this awesome verdigris coppery green turquoise speckle. It's so good. It's so complicated that, like, oh, I just love it. There's nothing quite like it. And I totally ran out of yarn. I bought 4 skeins, which is, I want to say this was like a 400 yard. Let me check. It's 460 yard base. So that was $1,800 plus yards, which is typically enough for a sweater for me. But here's the thing. I started this, like the neckline of this, before I got sick. And then I got sick. And what I didn't mention on the Ho Hey Locatelli show is I was trying to do the garter back and forth. Well, I was like, I don't know, day 3 or 4 of Spiky Boy. I could not knit garter, you guys. It's just simple garter with like an increase every X number of rows was beyond me. I was messing it up so bad that I was like, did I forget how to knit? So I like put away the collective shawl and I pulled this out because I was like, oh, well, this is fine. It's just, right? I was literally only, I had, quote, I thought I had 2 raglans left to go, and then it would just be all the way down, straight stockinette. Okay, here's the thing though. I didn't have 2 raglans left. I actually was ready to just go, and my little Spiky Boy brain added those 2 raglans. Vera Valimaki's Pavement is not size inclusive. It is just like my Fog and Whisper, one of her older patterns before that conversation started, and so it goes up to a 2X. Her 2X typically fits me just fine, so I was not concerned about it, and I don't feel bad supporting her because her newer patterns are all size inclusive, and I do believe she's actually going back and slowly adding sizes to the old ones. So I was like, I'll just make 2X and I'll be fine. But then I added 2 raglans, and I got a little ways down and I was like, oh crap, I added 2 raglans. So I figured out, I did the math, which let me tell you, with Spiky Boy brain, that took like 45 minutes. I did the math and I figured out, oh, well, it's just gonna add like 3 inches, and actually that's fine. That'll just give me a little bit of a looser fit instead of a like slightly negative ease fit, and I'm totally okay with that. That'll look good. So I decided to continue with it. The problem was I did not take into account that I think I needed a little under 1,800 yards for the 2X. And when I made my own 3X, I need more than 1,860 whatever yards I had. So I lost the yarn chicken. The wonderful thing was I looked at like all my yarns and I was like, well, do I have like a contrast color I could do the hem in or something? None of them could match the sweet complexity of this yarn. And so I contacted Stacy at Glam Yarns and I was like, okay, this is 100% a first world problem. Not only that, it's one that I gave myself. I bought this yarn well over a year ago. I don't know if you're still dyeing the color. I don't know if you still have the base. I totally apologize. I am quite literally like 56 yards short, which is not even a whole mini. Is there any way that you can dye up a mini in this? Or if you can't get a mini, I'll buy a whole skein. I don't really care. And she was wonderful, you guys. She was like, you know what, actually I don't have that base, but I can get it. I do still carry it, I just don't happen to have any on hand. But I'll order it because I do still carry it and I just need to order it anyway. And so she ordered the base, she ordered the base in minis, and she dyed up some in both in full skeins and in minis. So if you want this gorgeous color, go to Glam Yarns on Etsy and nab it because it's amazing. And it's a really amazing base. It's a 2-ply. It's just so, it just makes really lovely sweaters. It's so squishy and bouncy. So go give her your love because she's an amazing dyer who dyed up the yarn for me. And it is going to be here tomorrow. And because I don't ever want to play yarn chicken with this sweater again, and I can't wait to wear it, I actually ordered 2 minis, which is like 4 times more than I need, but I don't care. I'll make matching socks or something. And then my Vera Valimaki will be done. And I love Vera Valimaki. She's such a great designer. That is what I have on the pavement. I don't think I have anything else on it. Let me look. And I'm actually going to stop because my battery is flashing at me and telling me that it's going to die. So I'll be back in like, I don't know, half an hour when it's had some charge to do the other 2/3 of the podcast. I am drinking a Diet Coke. Earlier I had a coffee while I tried to record and my battery died and I just was all over the place and it was a complete hot mess. Welcome to the post Spiky Boy Blues. Okay, my last whip is living in this giant multi-pocketed craft bag that my mother-in-law got me for Christmas. Last Christmas? No, the Christmas before last? I don't know, a while ago. It does contain some acquisitions, which is Alpaca Soxx, and this is colorway 05, which is just a gray. So this is a 70% alpaca, 30% nylon, washable alpaca sock yarn, and more Queensland recycled tweed, which is recycled wool and recycled nylon and recycled polyamide. And in it, there's a sweater quantity of each of those. And in it I have, I'm not gonna be able to show you completely because it's not on quite long enough of a needle, but a burgeoning single malt. For my husband, because he's been wanting a sweater for like a year and I have not made one. So I'm making him one. This pattern seemed like a really good fit for him. And these yarns were not at all what I intended to make it in. I looked online and I was looking at like Yager Spun Heathers and a couple other like woolly wools and some superwash nylon blends. This is an Aran weight / worsted weight, and I just am, for one, I don't like knitting with things that big. This is making my shoulder hurt. I don't like knitting with needles this big, and I know they're only an 8, but like an 8 or a 9 is big in my world. And I can't knit on them for like long stretches of time or things like my shoulder hurt. So I decided to go to my local yarn store because I just wasn't sure about buying a sweater's quantity worth of like a woolly wool that I hadn't felt. And I thought about like doing something like a Barocco vintage, which I've definitely worked with and have felt, and he likes. And I wanted it to be, he's gonna wear it over his clothes because he wears like a sweater over his shirt every day to go to work. But I just kind of felt like, so like doing a woolly wool would have been fine scratch factor wise, but I just kind of felt like he does art teaching, he's does a lot of ceramics, so he's gonna get clay and stuff on it, and you can like brush that off, that's fine. It's, you wait till it dries and you just brush it off. But he's really bad with laundry, you guys. And I could just imagine him like accidentally throwing a sweater in the washer. So I kind of did not want to do a rustic wool in the end. And then I didn't want to do something I hadn't felt. So I went to my local yarn store and I just was not pleased with any of like the Aran weight options. They were all pretty much rustic non-superwash, and I was just worried about him throwing it in the washer by accident. So in the end, I ended up going with the recycled tweed, which is what I've made my cryonic pullover out of. And it's not like the world's most softest thing. It's also absolutely not an Aran weight. It is a sport. So then I needed to pair it with something, and I didn't just want to hold it double. So I paired it with the Alpaca because he likes soft things, and the Alpaca was washable too. So I ended up with a fully washable Aran weight combo that's being marled, and it looks really nice. It's both soft to the touch, but you can tell it's going to be very durable, which is good because he needs that. The other thing is that, oh, I guess I don't have it sitting here. Oh, I bet it's in here. After I knit my swatch, which I did in the round, and I admit I did like the smallest swatch that I could possibly have done. And probably wasn't that accurate because I was pretty confident in my gauge. And it's working out fine. I thought, you know, the recycled tweed says lay flat dry. It says it can't be put in the dryer, but I didn't really understand why it couldn't be put in the dryer because it's just recycled wool and recycled nylon, and it doesn't say that the wool is not superwash. So I threw it in the washer and then I threw it in the dryer, and you know what, guys? It came out just fine. So not that I plan on throwing the sweater in the washer and dryer because I don't. I'll hand wash it for him anyway. But it just kind of gave me like a little bit of the peace of mind that like, okay, so if he accidentally throws it in the laundry, it'll be fine. It won't like ruin all that work. So that is the single melt sweater by Maxim Cyr, which I'm sure you've probably already seen because it's everywhere. It's $10 Canadian, which is about $8.25 US, which I feel is totally fine for a sweater pattern. I never feel bad purchasing one of Max's patterns because they're always so high quality. Like the finishing touches on them and the detail touches on them are always so good and make the sweater look really high quality. Or like I also made his Snickless Reel, you know, sometimes they're a little bit like fussy to do. Like the Snickless Reel has what I refer to as the world's longest Kitchener on it, but they're always worth doing. Like they always make it look just that much better. So I don't regret it at all. Oh, he's like a 51-inch chest, so we decided to make the 55-inch size to give him enough ease to go over his sweaters, which pans out because then I measured like the one of the sweaters that he wears like every day, and it was 55. I was like, yes. That said, he's so excited for it. I'm not working on it like monogamously because those big needles. And so on one hand, it knits up really fast, like big needles, big yarn, like it goes fast. You could probably knit this sweater really fast, but I hate working with big yarn and big needles. It makes my forearms really sore because I've had ulnar shortening osteotomies on both sides and arthroscopy on both of my wrists, and it makes my shoulder sore, which I've never had anything done to my shoulder, but I'm sure I've got problems up there. I've got arthritis. So I have to do like, I limit myself. Like I'll set a goal of like, oh, I want to do this many rows on the raglan today, and then I'll work on something else. So it's 2/3 done with the raglan right now. That's also a good case in point for like anybody who's like, oh, you know, I can't knit because I have had wrist surgery or whatever. Like, don't let that deter you. I have had major arm surgery on both arms and wrists, and I still knit on average 6 to 8 hours a day probably. And it's fine. I just have to know what works for me, which for me is smaller needles because it's smaller motions. And if I want to do a project with bigger needles, I need to only work on that for small amounts at a time. And certain kinds of needles, so I tend to work on metal needles so that it slides really well and easily and I don't have to do a lot. But if you have like really bad arthritis, then maybe you need warm needles that are like wood or whatever. Like, there's so much that you can change about how you knit that I don't think having any kind of impairment really stops you from doing it. That is not me saying that every person who has carpal tunnel should be knitting for 8 hours a day, because you should. But just don't let it like put you way off. So that is it for my actual like current knitting whips. Then I have a dye whip, which is also a part acquisition. So if you guys remember when I went to Germany, when I went to the Netherlands, I got some yarn brought to me from Germany. So this is Kollektion der Vielfelt. Ooh, I don't know how to say that. Vielfalt. Kollektion der Vielfelt. My bad. And it is locally made for local people, basically, is what it says. And so what it is it's a local herd that is then sheared and milled locally at a family mill and then sold only within Germany. This is rustic. I mean, I think it'll be fine to wear, but yeah, I think it'll be fine to wear. But it's rustic. It's not superwash at all. And you can 100% tell that. But it's Fuchsschaf yarn, which is fox-faced Coburg sheep, and this is a sport weight. So it's got like this brown gold tone to it, which I love. But I'm gonna dye it, and I'm gonna dye it naturally, and I wanted to do this for like 6 months or more. So I did get around to ordering the stuff to do that with. So from Sajadi Studios, I ordered, and it smells so good, a whole bag of marigold petals dried. This is 5 ounces, which is more than enough to dye my yarn yellow. Then from Dharma, I ordered all of the things that I need to do that. So you need alum to go with the marigold petals, and this is like the new version of Synthropol. It's called Curalon low foam dyer's detergent, because that yarn is still a little greasy. And then I'm going to use some pre-reduced indigo crystals, which you use with soda ash instead of lye, because nobody wants to be playing with lye. And I have some color remover. So I'm going to take my newly yellow yarn and dip it in indigo, and I'm hoping for some version of green or teal, we'll see how it comes out. Whatever it is, it will be loved. And then I have a sweater's quantity worth of this. And I'm going to make the winter garden sweater by Hook Mountain Handmade, which is really cute. And I'll put a picture of it up here. And I think it will look, it's one of those sweaters that I'm like, I think it actually looks best in a rustic yarn in like a natural color. And so that's what I'm going for. So, I know I could like look up all the recipes online and all that, and I kind of did, but I would really like you to see Granny right now. She's so damn cute. Give me a second. She'll never know I took her picture, and you will see it. I would really like to read a book on it, or have a book around to like reference, like, because a lot of the online recipes, they'll be like, you know, use this amount of dye stuff for this amount of yarn and get X color, but that's the only color they give you, like the only shade of color they give you. They don't say like, if you want it like half that colored, use X amount less, right? And so I'm hoping a book will do that for me. So I had gone to my library and gotten a couple of books, just a couple knitting pattern books, and looked, and they don't have like the modern natural dyer. They don't have that in stock. They have it, but I wasn't able to put a hold on it for some reason, but they did have another one that looked really good. So I put a hold on that one. And so whenever that hold comes in, I'll get that, and then I'll start on this project. The books that I did get though were Modern Baby Knits, because it had a really cute sweater in here that I want to make just to have like stashed for when somebody has a kid, called the Camaro. And this is a Tanis book, of course, by Interweave, because, you know, Tanis is great. And then another book called, because I really want to make one of these, called Tanks and Tunics. But what I didn't notice on this one, and I really regret, is that every single pattern in here, and there are some really cute ones that I really like this one. They all go up to a 3X. They all would have fit just fine. But they are all in sport, DK, or worsted. And while they're all knit in plant fibers, I live in Montana, number one. I cannot imagine a day in my life where I would want to wear a DK weight linen tank top. That would be hot. DK weight anything in the summer. And number two, I just mentioned, I really hate knitting on big needles. So I was a little disappointed because I don't think I'll actually end up knitting anything out of that, because I just don't knit with big yarn very often. I just assumed that since they were all tank tops, that they would all be like fingering weight linen, because to me that's what you make a tank top out of. And I mean, you know what happens when you assume things? Well, I'm the ass. So that would be acquisitions from the library. And plans for dyeing. Now, acquisitions that came with this sweater from China. Look. This is a lovely, lovely brioche cowl. It's a little bit creased because it's been in the mail for like 4 months. But I love it. And I like cowls a lot because they really work for me well as far as like being able to go outside in the winter and cover up my mouth and nose and not have cold air messing with my lungs. So I was super thrilled with this, and I love it, and I think it looks amazing. It actually looks really amazing with this sweater too. I could just wear the whole thing out, just this outfit right here. Let's go for a ride. Somebody else drive me, okay? Because I don't feel like it. I'm not up to it. Granny has woken up and she's like, what's going on? What's going on today? Anyway, so I love it. It's great. And even more, I got some bits and bobs. So a pair of shorties for me only takes like 45-ish, 40 grams of yarn. Depends, like if I put a contrasting heel toe in it, like 40. So she sent me, come on, there we go, this sparkly unknown bit and bob. I do not know what exactly this one is, but it's purple and I like it. Then she sent me these two amazing colorful 50-gram bobs. They are both needle and thread by Yarn, an unknown colorway, and I'm totally gonna like start off by making myself a pair of obnoxiously bright shorties with this and some obnoxious bright green yarn that I have for toes and heels. I can't wait. I'm literally probably gonna start that today. I actually had it out there ready to cast on, and then I was like, oh, I should podcast before I do that. Some Maki and the Squid, purple and orange. Okay, that's twice now. I've completely like not turned the camera on right. Somebody take away my podcasting license. Okay, so she also sent me two indie dyers that I have been coveting for a long time but not been able to get my hands on. The first one is the Plucky Knitter in the Trusty Base, which is 100% Merino DK in the colorway If It's Not Baroque. And it's purple, and I love it. I don't know what it's gonna be yet, but you guys, I am thinking it might be a hat. Seems like really good hat yarn, like amazing, sweet hat yarn. I haven't made myself a hat in a while, and it's on my list of things that I want to make myself. And Stranded! I have wanted some of Jude's yarn for a couple of years, and I just A, haven't been able to catch an update, and B, have not been able to bite the bullet on shipping to the US when I did see an update. So this is a MCN base that she had in her stash for ages. Purple, blue, green. There's green in here. So this colorway is Nomad. And I don't know. I also don't know what this is going to be, but it's going to join my stash, unmarinate, and become something very exquisite. And definitely for me, this yarn is not getting shared. I know I knit a lot of things that end up being gifts. Oh, look at that. It looks so good next to my other purple yarns. I do knit a lot of things that end up being gifts, but this yarn is not being gifts. Then even better, amazing stuff. I got some of her hand spun. I got some art yarn this is a single ply. Ooh, that is not at all the color that it actually is. Oh my gosh, something. Does that work? There we go, that works. a little bit. It's showing up so much more pink. It's like pink and purple and yellow, and it's just showing up pink and yellow. There we go. That's what it is. Okay, so it's like pink, purple, yellow, and orange. Single ply art yarn, thick and thin. And when she said she was gonna send it, I originally was like, oh yeah, I could like work that into like the brim of a hat or something, as like a cool decoration. But you know, now that I have got it, I just really want to weave it. And I don't have a loom. But like, I want to get like, you know, one of those little like 1 foot wooden looms that you make the little pin tapestries on, and just, I think this would make. So I think I'm gonna actually just hold on to this until finances change and I'm allowed to purchase a, I mean, they're only like 12 bucks, but still, a little loom so that I can weave myself a lovely tapestry to hang in my yarn wall, like on the side of this, because I just, that is what it is to me already. It has already got a project. I just don't have all the things to make the project. So that's what that's gonna be. Then I have 2 yarn babies of hand spun. This is Fine Fish Fibers with some stellina in it. And this just says it's a woolen spun bat. Bats woolen spun. And they go so well together that I'd really love to put them in the same project. I don't know for sure like what weight they average out to be, but they do look to be like very comparable in size. So yeah, I don't know what these are gonna be, but they're gonna be together in something. Ideas? Let me know. So squishy. It's so funny because you can tell that like this is woolen spun. This just feels more dense, and this just is like so much more airy. It's so amazing. I felt so spoiled yesterday, you guys, when I opened this bag up. I was just like, because you know, it came in like a bubble wrap bag, and you can squash a lot of yarn and sweater into a bubble bag. It was great. And I loved it. I was just like, oh, the bag, yay. Oh my god, so much stuff. It was the best, and thank you so much, Darcy. It really seriously made my day. Oh no, one more acquisition. So at the end of my Farmer's Daughter sock squad, I'm not doing it this year for financial reasons. I had built up enough points that I could get a free skein of yarn, basically. And so in January, I went ahead and ordered that, and I decided I would just order whatever I wanted. This is something that I just don't normally get. So something that I don't normally get is singles, for sure. So I got Foxy Lady, which is a silky merino single. It's a 70/30 superwash merino silk, and I went with a colorway Elk Antler. It's so shiny, you guys. I mean, it is so freaking soft. It's like not even like butter. It's like melted butter. And I got it because I thought it would go really well with a couple other singles that I've got. And that maybe I could make like a really nice lacy shawl. Which I don't know, like once I got it, the red single had less beige in it than I thought and more gray, and the gray single that I had is, or the beige single that I had is a different tone of gray, But man, I still really like it. And so I think that it will just be a thing that marinates in my stash and holds on. Although I do have this wonderful Shibui Knits, which is also a silk. It's not a single, but it's like a 2-ply silk staccato base. Same blend content, 70-30, but it's a 2-ply. And I feel like that could make a really cool, very silky light, amazing shawl. So definitely shawl yarn. I mean, it's a single. I wouldn't want to like be stepping on it or wearing it without mohair or anything like that. But I love it, and I love Farmer's Daughter's yarn so much. I was so sad to see my sock squad end, but another time. Okay, so one last thing that I wanted to talk about, because it's come up like 2 times where I've made a comment on, I mentioned it to a lefty knitter and somebody else whom I can't remember right now, which is like what my very favorite notion in the world is. You know, people when they knit, you have different styles, and some people will push on the end of their needle and their finger gets very sore, especially if they're knitting with bigger needles and it's hard to get through. And my world's favorite, there we go, world's favorite thimble ever are these hand-stitched leather thimbles. You can tell how much I use them too. And that I always use the same side. These are, doesn't really fit on that finger. These are leather thimbles from NSM Creative Corner, or NSM Creative. I'm not sure, I'll put it at the bottom. On Etsy, this is like all they make is just leather thimbles. They make thin, medium, and thick. They make thumb and they make finger. And I think they make like an extra long version, though I would not do that. And I adore them. So the blue one I have had for 2 years, probably, year and a half. And the teal one I've had for about 6 months. And the teal one I would not even consider fully broken in yet. And I keep the blue one around. It's pretty loose now and will like twist on my finger easily, because in the morning my hands are very swollen, so it fits. And then by afternoon it no longer fits, and I changed to my other one. And I like them tight fitting. So when you order, they have you measure around your first knuckle or your second knuckle. I think it's your first though. It gives explicit instructions on how to measure, and I always order one size below that, and then I stretch it out. So that's a process that I don't mind doing. But if you're not willing to deal with it being too small at the start, like when I first got this one, I could only get my finger like, I don't know, like that far in. And then over time, I've gotten it to where it goes all the way on, and that's how I like it to fit. But if you're not interested in doing that, don't size down. They send a leather strip along with it so that when it gets stretched out like this, you can actually put the leather strip in there and it will still fit. So these things are $8.99 each, or like 2 for $11.99, I think. And these are seriously my most treasured notion, to the point to where if I go, God damn it, I can't find, my husband will be like, did you lose your thimble again? Because he knows that it's like, I can't knit without it. Which is why I bought a second one, because I was so afraid I would really lose the first one. So if you get sore fingertips, I highly recommend those. I've tried the clover one with the little like metal bit in it, and like 4 other ones that you could buy at Joanna. I didn't like any of them. I've tried the the jelly, like plasticky one. I didn't like that one either. My other very favorite notion was bought for me by my husband. This is by Firefly Notes, and it is a resin topped sliding notions tin, and he upgraded it for me to have the little magnet in the bottom. This is the large size, and it is full. It is full of all my stitch markers and everything else, and I love it because if I tip it a little bit, all like the stitch markers and things that are handmade out of like polymer clay or whatever slide off and leave like just my light bulb stitch markers and my darning needles. I need a second one of these shortly, but I love it to death. So those are my two world's favorite notions, you guys, that I just cannot knit without. Very close third is my unicorn scissors that I got from Undercover Otter. Alright, that leaves us at Fandom. So if you're not here to hear about fanfic and Witcher and things like that, feel free to toodaloo now. If you enjoy hearing me rattle on about my knitting and yarn and acquisitions and general life, please feel free to follow or give it a like, the thumbs up. That really helps, like, I don't know, do something with YouTube that I don't know about, or know enough about, I guess. And leave me a comment below. Like, I do really appreciate it, and I'm very curious to hear what you guys think hair-wise. If I should, like, keep letting it grow, or somewhere find the energy to go get a haircut, because haircuts suck. Like, going in just takes energy that I don't have, but I don't like having long hair either. And tell me what the most, like, I'm an adult thing you've done recently is, because I am curious. Like, buying a toilet really drove home. Like, sweetheart, you're almost 40. Toilets matter in your world, and you have to pay for them. So tell me, I'm curious. Also, if you have any experience like doing the natural dyeing stuff, please feel free to DM me on Instagram and like share your insights with me about how it went. Like points, tips, tricks, etc. So in that case, then we'll move on to Fandom. I have not watched season 2 of Witcher, and I don't think that I will, just based on the things that I've heard. I think I've come to the conclusion that, so for me, every kind of like Witcher media is a different like universe, canon, whatever, right? So like the books, the games, the Netflix. And I really didn't mind season 1 of Netflix, but I also did not love it the way I loved the games. And honestly, the same with the books. I don't love the books the way that I love the games either. To the point of, I haven't read them. Like, I was going to, and I was all excited about it, and then people talked about them, and I was like, oh, they don't sound like the games to me, and what I love are the games. So, you know, it sounds to me like the Netflix adaptations, for one, I know that they're more based on the books than on the games, and I love the games. And for two, like, they're doing their own thing, and I just don't, it's not that I don't support that, it's just that it doesn't grab my interest the way the games did. And so it's like a show that I started watching, and then I was like, oh, you know, this just doesn't hold my interest. So I'm not going to force myself to watch season 2 if I wasn't like in love with season 1. So, I mean, don't like worry about spoiling me for season 2 Netflix Witcher. I've already been spoiled, and I'm not worried. That said, if you loved it, I'm so excited for you. Like, more power to you. Anything that like gets people more interested in Witcher, I'm all for. Speaking of, so my writing partner runs every year actually, a like event week called Witcher Wump Week. And I don't typically recommend my works or my writing partner's works because I don't want to like overload. Like, I think everything that they write is amazing. And I definitely don't want to be like, here, I'm going to show my work at you. But they did write some even more amazing works for Witcher Wump Week. And they put a lot of effort into that, like, promoting and doing the week. So I wanted to recommend 2 of their titles. One title is kind of like an anthology that has like multiple prompts under it, and the other is a standalone story. So the multiple prompt one is called Of Mutants and Men, and it is an E-rated fic that is like close to 7,000 words. Not everything within that fic is going to be E-rated. Like, not every chapter is E-rated. Some definitely are, and you definitely need to look at the tags. So the way that they do their tags for a story like that is the overall tags say like, oh, this is Witcher Wump Week, this is all Wump, this is all involving these characters, right? And then they will say, you know, more tags in each chapter. So for each chapter is a short story, and it'll say like content info below, and you can click that and it will scroll down to the very bottom of the story and it will tell you the major tags for that story. So like if there is like a suicidal ideation tag or something like that, that will be down there. So make sure that you are checking those tags if you have like any kind of triggers, whether it's for smut or non-smut, because these stories are intermixed in that anthology. Some of them are smut, some of them are not. And they're definitely, because it's Wump, and Wump is basically, you know, putting your characters through the ringer and maybe or maybe not giving them a happy ending. There will be lots of triggering content in there, so don't say I didn't warn you. So make sure you check those. But they're really good stories that explore lots of different dark themes and explore like a lot of like what is that Witcher's worst nightmare? What is that person's worst nightmare? What would failure be for that person? Things like that. And then the other story, which is a standalone that they did for one of the prompts, is called Another Year. And that one is a Lambert Aiden story. And it is rated teen, but it does still have some pretty hefty warnings. So make sure you read them. And it's 1.5K or so. Check them out. They're by Book Scorpion. They are on an archive of our own, and I will drop the links down below. It's interesting to me, you know, both writing and reading Wump, and a lot of the like darker themes that can be explored there, as far as you can really like deep dive into mental health and like the not so happy ending, which can still be a really good story. You just have to be in the right place to read it or write it. And to me, can be a challenge in and of itself. And I like that. Not every single story has to have a storybook happy ending, you know? And that's why I don't just read like off-the-shelf romance. Does that make sense? Like there's lots of trade published erotica or whatever that I could read, and it's so formulaic to me, you know, where the girl is always the damsel in distress and the guy is always saving her, and then they always have their castle at the end. And even the ones that like buck that trend, literally, if you talk to a publisher or an editor for a major publishing house, like, you're not getting a romance book published if it doesn't have a happy ending. Like, that then is not romance. That then is like adult fiction. So sometimes I like to mix my genres, damn it. We should be allowed to. It's part of the allure of fan fiction for me. All right, guys, that's what I've got. It took me like 2 attempts to record this. I will try to get it edited and try to get it published sometime in the next 4 days. We'll see how it goes. Thank you for sticking with me. And I hopefully will see you in 2 weeks with a finished Pavement sweater. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on what your time zone is, and try to stay healthy. Not on your sister. Sit down. Do you all know that library books smell amazing? Like so many people. Lugs. So yeah, I like my socks to be tightly knit like that. I think they last longer and wear like not, but like they wear better when you're walking on them all the time. And Darcy calls them my bulletproof socks. Sometimes when I'm knitting them, they do almost literally stand up on their own. But once I block them, they're fine, okay? They're fine. They're lovely.